Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
You know, they always say that the best time to make friends is when you're in school. And that's true. I mean, from the time you start preschool or kindergarten, it's easy to make friends because you have many people who are about your age. And then as you get older, and you go to high school and there are friends there and college, and then, everybody's coming in with their own experiences and you have a community there. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you will get a job where you also kind of build a little bit of a community. And if you have school age kids, you get to know some of the moms. I have friends who I've known since Sarah was 3 and 4 years old and there's a group of us, there's four of us, and because our kids were all dancing together. And so sometimes your kids' activities will give you a sense of community. And sometimes it lasts and sometimes you drift away and you say, "Oh, I remember so and so and I never see them anymore." But when you're an empty nester and maybe you're no longer in the workplace or you've changed workplaces or you're retired, you start to think, "Well, where are my people now?" And so we want to talk today about building community even as you get older, because we all need community. We all need friends. We all need someone that we can go for a walk with or just rant to. And with social media and Facebook, a lot of people forget that that's not really connecting with people. You started, and a lot of times, like young people aren't really even on Facebook anymore because they figure it's old people. And you may connect with people that you went to the high school or college or even worked with, and you may find that you don't have as much in common with them that you used to. Maybe your political uh, values have changed. Maybe your marital status has changed. Either you're single now or always was, you're married or divorced, or they are. And so you don't have couple friendships. So, sisters, let's talk about how we build community as we age. And not just like the forced going into a nursing home kind of community, even though they try to do that. What are some of the things that you do to build community? Some of the things that I do. Um, I dance. I've been a tap dancer for about 40 years, and I still dance and I still take classes and I still perform. And so that's part of one community. I also go to church regularly. So that's another community, even though that changes. That changes when the pastor changes. That changes when people die because a lot of the people are older. And I have that as a community. I have, people that I've learned to connect with in my job that I have now, which is a new job. I've only been there for about 3 years. So there's a little bit of a community there, not as much. And I go to the Y. And I'm learning that some of us are taking a lot of the same classes. I got close with a teacher, and when she left, we decided to continue to be friends. So where are some of the other places or some of these places that we should be going to find our people?
It is really exciting to actually venture out at this time of life. I do remember a lot of my friends were other parents with my kids. We went to, my kids were involved in a lot of different clubs and sports and swimming, and those people, we'd sit around, watch our kids doing all of their stuff. We became friends. We would make dates to get together for coffee without the kids. Uh, things like that really helped you have a sense of belonging. And then, like you said, Cheryl, you become an empty nester, and so you need other avenues for socialization. In our little cul-de-sac, there are like 14 homes, and my husband and I had planned to have this regular Bible study in our home, in which we were going to invite everyone, and everyone was going to watch the Truth Project. Well, then COVID hit, so that diminished those plans really quickly. And we found ourselves being involved in a lot of different online activities. AARP had movies for grown-ups. Now, pre-COVID, they would actually pick a theater. You would have an opportunity to have a chance at a first run movie. They would supply popcorn and candy. They would do these little trivia games before the movie started. And you got to meet a lot of different people then. And so then after COVID hit, they started doing the same thing online. Of course, you provided your own popcorn because you were at home, but it was still some semblance of you interact with other people because they do a little trivia game thing and everybody would try to answer and get whatever prizes they were going to mail to you. Well, another way of building community, of course, is like you said, Cheryl, being involved in your church. We have a regular Bible study that we go to with people that come, and we've become friends with them outside of the actual study, where once a month, a bunch of the women meet for lunch at a local restaurant. And then the men actually do the same kind of thing. And then there are other activities, like you were saying, Cheryl, going to the Y. If you are involved in some kind of class, you meet all the same people all the time, and you start to develop friendships with those people. I have found it really unique and different because I left Chicago and moved down here, where it was like starting all over. You know, I had my home base, I had my friends, I had the people I did stuff with, I had people that I called up, regularly, and we would get together and hang out. And then that all changed. I found that becoming involved in Bible study fellowship was really a lot of fun. And the thing that made it exciting was it was like I found my place again with people. Now I am a shepherd. I'm like shepherding 12 other women, and they're not old women. Some of them are in their 40s, some are in their 50s, but we regularly get together for food, fellowship, fun, singing, stories, and there is a connection that we have because we're sharing things about ourselves that may be confidential, and it stays in house. So you have different groups of people that you're building community with, and you have a fellowship with, and you have a kinship with. Those things are very valuable, and they can only be done in person. I mean, I love social media. I usually use that just to keep up with people, to find out what they're doing and where they're at if I haven't heard from them in a long time. But building community is all about interacting with people on a personal level and growing together, even if you're starting over in a new neighborhood.
That's probably one of the most difficult things for
Right.
seniors. If you have lived someplace your whole life and then things change in your life, a spouse passes away, or your children grow up, all kinds of things. And I've met people who are seniors who have had to start over. They maybe have moved to a different city. They don't know anybody. And that's when it's really hard. And also, what's challenging is if you've spent your whole life building your social network around your children. And we all did this. You make friends with people because your children are friends. And then you get together, you go to your sports events with your children, and your music recitals and for your children, and all these things where you have built a network of parents that are around your children's activities. But then when your children grow up and leave and get their own lives, you don't have a reason to still hang around these people. And usually you don't, because their lives have gone another direction as well. And so it can really be it can be really a very lonely time unless you aggressively, like you all have said, go out and find things, because people forget to call and see how you're doing. And if you've got any kind of health challenge where you can't physically get out, that can really keep you isolated. During COVID, so many things were online, but there also were a lot of seniors that were not internet savvy, maybe didn't have a computer, didn't know how to work a cell phone, all kinds of stuff. So they really didn't have, yeah, they didn't have that interaction even on a screen. And so if you don't have some type of organization that you're active with before you get older that isn't connected to your children, you really should get involved now, whether it's a bowling league, or even I got a friend that she religiously goes and plays bid whist with her card
Yeah.
friends. You got to have something. You got to have people that you gather with on a regular basis that keep up with you, that will care if you are
Don't show
missing
up.
for a long time. Yeah, if you don't show up, especially if you got to the point where you do live alone because your children are gone, they got their own families, and you may see them on holidays, but other than that, everybody's into their own life. So if you don't have a group of people that see you on a regular basis, weekly or a couple of times a week or a couple of times a month or whatever it is, find something that you can get involved with.
And it's
So somebody knows that you're okay.
yes, and this is what's interesting is because I what is today? Oh, okay. A couple of days ago, I had uh, I had lunch with a friend that we used to work together at my last newspaper job, and I hadn't seen him for a while. And we had always said, okay, we would, try to keep up. And so I texted him. I said, it's time to, get together. And we just sit and we have an okay to, slightly mediocre meal. And we spend most of the time talking. And but the thing is that sometimes you can't be the one, even if you're an extra introvert, because if you're an extrovert, it's easier for you. But sometimes, we're, even some of us who present as extroverts, we're really introverts.
Yeah.
And you have to really, bite the bullet and say, I haven't heard from so and so in a while. Oh, they never call me. Well, the phone
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're into.
Works two ways. Yeah.
Sometimes you even and if you don't feel like, oh, I don't want to intrude on them or call them and say, is this a bad time? Text them. And texting is the best
That's
thing.
the new way of
It's
communication.
a new way, but it's also a good way because it kind of keeps you from catching someone like when they're out or they're out doing something or they're with other people and they can't really talk. And then you start feeling some kind of way because you feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to bother them. And they'll say, let me call you back. And then they forget because they were in the middle of something else.
Yeah.
Text them. You may not hear from them for a while, and then text them again, say, oh, I don't know, because everybody doesn't answer their text right away. Some of us do, but some of us, it may be days before you hear from them again. But at least let them know, I'm thinking about you. We haven't seen each other for a while. How are you doing? And that's also and if you're an introvert, that's also kind of just a way for you to kind of dip your toe in the water a little bit, because
Yeah.
you know we will we want we want to be around people who want to be around us, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people. My best friend and I, we get together once a month, we catch up. But the reason why we started doing that, we've been doing that for a few years now, but the reason why we started doing that, because after we no longer worked in the same place,
Mhm.
we had gotten to the point of we wouldn't pick up the phone even. You were just more or less Christmas cards,
Yeah.
every year you're going, oh yeah, we need to get together. And finally I says, oh, this is just stupid. So,
Let's just do it.
you know,
Let's just set a day and do it. Yeah.
and then now it's a standing thing.
And
And that,
sometimes you have to do that. You have to literally make a date.
and when you sit down with that person for lunch or whatever before you leave. Say, okay, let's make a date on when we could possibly get together
Do
again.
this
And
again.
if we have
Yeah.
to change it, that's fine. But at least we're going to make a date, not like, okay, I'll see you whenever, because
Yeah,
whenever never come.
right. Next
So,
time you see him is at one of you all's funeral, so you don't want to wait
Yeah.
till that.
and
You know, I have found that working out and meeting people is a good place, but also the library, that almost is a lost art where people don't remember that there are book clubs that happen in
Yeah.
libraries,
yeah,
not just trainings for different kinds of things like learning the technology or learning how to do research. But these book clubs are where you get to meet people, you get to form other friendships outside, even those things that
out of
maybe
your
your
bubble.
city will offer, like group walks,
Yeah.
group
Yep.
recreational activities. These are things, and it's very easy to find in your own city. Different, I know, like here, every year they'll have like the art walk, and they've done some improvements on making people's works available. There are different festivals that are easy, that are small neighborhood festivals. Not if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to be around big crowds of people, like go downtown in Chicago on 4th of July weekend, that might be too much for you. But
Yeah.
small neighborhood events are great gatherings. Yard sales and garage sales are great gatherings. And you could be just the kind of person that gets around and you're out walking your dog. Do you know how many people are out walking their dogs the same time you are?
Yeah.
All
Yes, usually people know the names of the dogs and not the names of the people. But
yeah,
it's another
Yes.
to meet friends who have the same kind of likes that you do and form friendships that are lasting.
and
Yeah, I
it's
think that's one of the things people can do. Get out for a walk, and hopefully you have a neighborhood that you feel safe walking in. Because a lot of times that's one of the things that seniors will hesitate if they don't feel safe. But
sometimes
ideally, you can find a safe
safe.
place.
Yeah, but safe also means a lot of things. Safe also not just worried about crime or being accosted or harassed. Sometimes you don't feel safe because there isn't a good sidewalk or a safe, way for you to walk. Like in Boston, we just did a whole section in my class on disability and people who have mobility issues and how hard it is to get around Boston because of the cobblestones and the brick sidewalks and
Don't
uneven.
wear heels on those kind of
Oh,
sidewalks.
yeah, tell me about it. I learned the hard way. But, so sometimes safety, it's also mobility and just so there are a lot of things with going out and finding your community. Now in our church, we're going to be trying to do this thing where we would show movies and for a small donation,
Mhm.
and that's to bring in the community so that say, okay, we'll start with seniors and we'll say, okay, let's do a movie matinee and come in and $2 donation and we'll provide the popcorn and those kind of things. So if you have groups that are willing to do that, or maybe if you belong, because not everybody is religious, not everybody belongs to church, even though for us, with the dinners that we do at church and the different uh different sales and things that they do. We have a thrift store. We have, they do dinners like Mother's Day dinner and all other kind of dinners, St. Patrick's Day. And that's for the community. That's not necessarily just for church people. It's never just for church people, in fact. But if you have those kind of gatherings, different, function halls, maybe there are these different groups where you can say, hey, you know what might be fun for us to have a watch party for the Super Bowl or a watch party for the March Madness or anything that can get people out because people are lonely. And that's
Yeah.
what we want to talk about, is the fact that it's not just getting out to spend money, but people are very lonely. They're more isolated than they were before COVID. And now since COVID, and because you're always worried now about, viruses and things, and the political climate right now, people don't feel as safe that way. So, we have to address the fact that a lot of times when people get older, or even younger people, but younger people have different resources because we have so much for activities or movies or things that we can do for young people. Dances are great for older people too. If you can get a group to say, "Hey, let's have a dance," but learn line dancing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we can do as older people to be active and to keep active, because being socially active helps your brain development. It helps you stave off a lot of health concerns, as both mentally and physically. And we have to really start thinking about, who haven't I called in a while that I need to talk to? And that,
And something else, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
yes,
I know what we do once a month, we go and visit our friends at the mosque. They have an open house, they have a dinner, they have a presentation. We have been doing this for about 5 years now. We have become friends with our Muslim neighbors. We have learned some of their customs. We have learned how to interact on different levels of information, conversation. We have actually become friends. And it takes away the stigma of fear if you can go and be with people that are not like you. There is so much, a lot of that fear comes from reading into that crazy social media that feeds on that kind of stuff, that kind of stimulates anger in people by bringing
because,
up our differences instead of being willing to coalesce around the things that make us alike. And so,
you
one
know
of the things
why?
I've also done is gotten involved with the young people on the college campus. Now, I know we're involved in campus ministry, but this is another opportunity to bridge the gap of youth. No, I don't know everything about pop culture, but I'm learning, and I have learned how to be the kind of person who can speak into young people's lives who really are searching for some kind of meaning. You have no idea how college students, they're not all like knowing what they want to do. Some of them, they need to hear some of the wisdom of an older person that's not their own mother or father, because maybe they don't listen to their folks, but they
Yeah,
might listen
that's
to you
true.
and the things that you have to offer.
That is true. And it's good. It's
Because
good to have. Go ahead.
they're we are baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara and Naima, your children are millennials,
Mm-hmm.
Gen Zer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of them have different concerns, even from the millennials, about, you know, their college loans. What are they going to do afterward? And you have to tell them, with the wisdom that you have gleaned through your years, is what you want to do at 20, 21, 22 isn't who you need to be for the rest of your life. Now, when we were all in college, you went to college, you studied this one thing, and that was the one thing that you were going
That
to
was your life
life.
forever.
But it took years of us realizing, you're not even going to be the same person in 10 years. Every 10
Right.
years, you're going to be a whole different person anyway. Uh,
Older.
you'll be
You're
older.
hopefully wiser.
Actually, even physically, every 7 years, your body regenerates. So you
That's
don't
true.
have all the same cells anymore. So, and telling them and being able to tell someone, do what you want to do now. Don't look for your dream job out of college. Look for your first job.
Right.
Because
And that job could actually change the direction of your life depending on your experience.
exactly. I never would have thought, coming out of college, that my last job, because this is going to be my last job, I hope, is what would be teaching.
Yeah.
And I never thought that I would be on a college campus with all of these young people that could be my grandchildren. But
But you never know.
invigorating. It's
Yeah.
invigorating.
And that's another thing. I think it's important for seniors to stay connected with young people,
Young
because a lot
have
of us
friends who
never
are
had
younger than you.
Yes,
Have friends who are younger than you.
yes.
I'm the oldest in my friend group of the four of us who, whose kids all danced for years. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
oldest one because I had Sarah old. So I was old when I had, but we're all still close. But they're saying, "Oh no, there's no way that you're that." Yeah, I am. I think I'm like 10 years older. I'm more than 10 years older than the next oldest.
They
So
always think you're the same age that they are anyway, because you're running with them.
exactly. But it's also important to have people who are younger. In my tap class, because we have a mix. We have people who are right out of college, right out of grad school, and then we have college students. And it's funny because I consider some of these people who are 30 years younger than me my friends. But because we have that common shared community, it
Yeah.
works. And we
Yeah.
can't just be around all old people, because how all we do is talk about how bad we have it.
Oh.
How something hurt, broke.
Do not be around that old energy. That will kill you. You have to be around people who are vibrant and lively, because there's no reason to
Have
age.
the old lady talk, or the old man talk. Oh, my friend who's
Talking about their latest operation and what.
and he says to me, my friend says to me, this is like whack-a-mole. Every time something else, I get better on one thing, something else hurts or so, and that's true, like
But you can do some things that are appropriate for your age group that are fun, like when Earth, Wind and Fire has a concert. Who's going to hear them? Us, our age group, even though they still got their fan base. But we know that this was our era. And we're Stevie Wonder, come on now. So we're gonna go to these concerts of those people who were young when we were young, but it's still a lively event and something to kind of reinvigorate you. And it's a lot of fun because you get a chance to reminisce.
Sarah and I last night went to see Riverdance.
Yes.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
It was so much fun. And those are the things, the concerts, the plays that you never got a chance, the movies. Take yourself out. And I'm gonna tell you, even if you got to go by yourself, because we did that whole show about not going to movies with Black people, but
they too loud.
They too loud. They got to talk all the way through the movie.
And we used to be those people.
But yes, and I never went
another show.
But the whole thing is that find your people. We're all human beings are supposed to be social, and stay off of Facebook if it makes you angry, because rhythms are there to make you angry. They're there, and the longer you become enraged, the longer you stay on this, the more poison that you're putting into your soul. So stay off of those things that make you angry, and look for
the funny stuff. Some of these comedians, look for that
uplifting stories. Look, we have to keep informed, because that's who we are. But you
can always choose the information that's uplifting, because there's more people doing good deeds than there are doing not good deeds, and you can choose to find those stories, because they'll keep sending you whatever it is you show that you're interested in. So whatever you pay attention to, you're going to get more of. So choose to get the things that make you laugh, and you'll get more of it.
Choose community, and choose to live.
There you go. Well, thank you all for joining us on 3 Black Moms. And remember to build community as you age, because life goes on and you should go on with it and enjoy it. So until next time, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell for our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook. And we'll see you next time on 3 Black Moms. Until then, I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are 3 Black Moms.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.